3 words that didn't feel real, until now. The Indiana Bears. Yeah, say it out loud. It feels strange, doesn't it? Before we go any further, if you love passionate, no-spin Bears coverage, hit like, share this with another fan, and subscribe so you never miss a breaking development. I woke up today ready to talk football. Real football. Player interviews. On-field development. Maybe something about roster strategy. Instead, we're talking about state lines and stadium politics again, and this time it feels different. An Illinois House Revenue and Finance Committee meeting that was scheduled to discuss the Bears stadium proposal. Cancelled. And from what insiders were saying, the mega project bill likely wasn't even going to be called for a vote. No vote. No movement. No urgency. And how many times have we seen this movie already? Meanwhile, over in Indiana, Governor Mike Braun came out swinging. He made it clear that Indiana is open for business. A proposed stadium site near Wolf Lake in Hammond has been identified. A framework connected to Senate Bill 27 has been established. And here's the headline that should grab everyone's attention. SB 27 passed unanimously, 24-0. Unanimous. Let that sink in for a second. While Illinois cancels meetings, Indiana is lining up votes and clearing legislative hurdles. The Bears then released a statement saying the passage of SB 27 would mark the most meaningful step forward in their stadium planning to date. They specifically mentioned building a world-class stadium near Wolf Lake and praised Indiana leadership for establishing a workable framework. That is not subtle language. That is not accidental phrasing. Now let's be clear about something. Nothing has been signed. Nothing is final. This saga has twisted and turned so many times that you'd be foolish to declare anything done before the ink dries. Remember Arlington Heights. The Bears bought the racetrack property. Renderings were shown. Plans were hyped. That felt like the future. Then it shifted to the Chicago lakefront. Public appearances. Speeches. Big promises about staying in the city. Then back to Arlington Heights. Then December rolls around and suddenly Indiana enters the chat in a serious way after yet another Illinois legislative period comes and goes without a vote. This story has been exhausting. And that's exactly the point. The Bears are tired. They're tired of waiting. Tired of political delays. Tired of being told, next session. And today felt like the clearest signal yet that their patience is wearing thin. Let's talk about the money, because that's always the loudest part of this conversation. The Bears are pledging $2 billion toward this stadium project. $2 billion. That's not small change. That's not symbolic. That is one of the largest ownership contributions you'll see in modern stadium projects across the NFL. Most teams don't do that. Many ownership groups lean heavily on taxpayer funding. The Bears are still committing $2 billion whether the stadium is built in Illinois or Indiana. So if Illinois loses the team, the narrative cannot be, they didn't want to pay. That argument doesn't hold water here. And yet here we are. Indiana Speaker of the House Todd Huston confirmed that the public funding structure would be similar to what was done for Lucas Oil Stadium. Framework. In place. Vote. Passed. Coordination between state agencies. Already happening. Indiana is operating with speed and clarity. Illinois officials, on the other hand, are saying meetings get canceled all the time and that negotiations are ongoing. Some sources even suggested the Bears requested tweaks to the bill language before proceeding. Fine. That may all be true. But optics matter. The Bears did not have to publicly applaud Indiana today. That was a deliberate move. That was pressure. That was leverage. Or maybe, just maybe, that was a signal. Let me ask you something. If you were running a billion-dollar organization and you kept hitting political roadblocks year after year, how long would you realistically wait? Because eventually enough is enough. Kevin Warren publicly said there would be a shovel in the ground in 2025. That hasn't happened. That deadline slipped. And when that happens, pressure builds, internally and externally. George McCaskey cares deeply about the history of this franchise. The Bears are a charter NFL franchise. The pride and joy of Illinois. That identity isn't just marketing, it's legacy. But legacy doesn't build stadiums. Results do. Here's another fascinating angle: location. The proposed Wolf Lake site in Hammond, Indiana is roughly 19 miles from Chicago. Arlington Heights is about 25 miles away. If this stadium ends up in Indiana, it would technically be closer to downtown Chicago than Arlington Heights. From a pure geographic standpoint, it's still Chicagoland. But crossing a state line changes the emotional equation, doesn't it? There's something symbolic about being the Chicago Bears and playing in another state. It feels off. It feels uncomfortable. And yet, from a business perspective, proximity, land availability, and legislative cooperation might matter more than symbolism. Question of the day: if Illinois can't finalize a deal soon, should the Bears officially move forward with Indiana? Comment below and tell me where you stand. Because make no mistake, a decision is coming. I don't know if the deadline is before the draft. I don't know if it's before summer. I don't know if it's tied to the next legislative window. But the Bears are not going to let this drag on indefinitely. Indiana is in the red zone. They're at the goal line. And unless Illinois forces a dramatic turnover, this could cross the plane. And here's the part fans need to understand: the Bears were likely leaving the city of Chicago regardless. Staying at Soldier Field long-term was never realistic. Most modern NFL stadiums are not in the city center. The Dallas Cowboys don't play in Dallas. The Los Angeles Rams and Chargers don't play in downtown Los Angeles. Land and development space matter. A new stadium isn't just a building. It's restaurants, bars, retail, entertainment districts, parking, infrastructure upgrades. It's an ecosystem. That's difficult to create in dense downtown environments. Arlington Heights offered that space. Now Hammond might offer it, with faster legislative support. Illinois leaders are publicly expressing surprise at the Bears' praise of Indiana. They claim progress was being made. They say this was part of negotiations. Maybe it is. Or maybe Illinois underestimated how serious Indiana was. Because today, the message was loud and clear: Indiana is ready. The Bears sound ready. The question is whether Illinois is ready in time. Deep down, I still believe the organization would prefer to remain in Illinois if a workable deal can be finalized. History matters. Identity matters. The franchise was born here. But patience has limits. And when you start publicly praising another state's leadership, while your own state cancels meetings, that feels like momentum shifting. We're at a pivotal moment. The Indiana Bears. It still sounds weird. But today, it sounds possible in a way it never has before. Nothing is official yet. Until contracts are signed and shovels hit dirt, twists can still happen. But the clock is ticking. And for the first time in this long, exhausting saga, it feels like the finish line might actually be in sight. Bear down.